You are listening to Married to the Game. I am Joe Skirto alongside Nick Mac, Daddy Mac, and Brian Bolster. And it's hot take day for the Married to the Game squad. We're going to be throwing around some hot takes. We're going to be debating. I cannot wait. And Brian, what is your hot take of the day, my man?
The Baltimore Ravens are going to win out and not stop there. They're going to win their first round playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lamar Jackson is going to start getting a lot of MVP love after that Bengals game. He's going to rush for over 300 yards over the next 3 weeks, and it's going to be in full swing for the Ravens.
Yeah, man, I don't know. I think we need to pump the brakes on Lamar Jackson. I know he came out of the locker room like Superman the other night and delivered a win after delivering a dump in the bathroom. But, you know, a dump that Odell Beckham is apparently very sad he missed. I heard that through the grapevine. I just think the Ravens are a little bit overhyped right now. The Browns did just drop 42 points on that defense. I don't know if that says more about the Ravens or more about the Browns. And again, this is like the first time that I've seen the flashes of greatness this year from Lamar, like where it says, oh my God, that's the Lamar I know. So I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, but I don't hate the take because Baltimore's schedule in the next 3 weeks is very easy. Very easy. The Jaguars, the Bengals, and the Giants. And as a Giants fan, that kills me to say, but they're not looking too great.
It's definitely possible. Their schedule, like you mentioned, Mac, is really poor. The Bengals and the Jaguars are easily the second and third worst teams in the league. So it's possible, but the only way I see this being possible if they go back to their identity, which worked out so well for them last year, and that was limit the throws that Lamar Jackson has. He has a high completion rate, low passing yards, touchdowns, and no interceptions, and that's exactly what he did with over 100 rushing yards. If they cannot go back to that identity, I think there's no shot they win a playoff game. And I'm just going to say they won't just because it's only one game and it was against the Browns. No hate at the Browns. Their linebackers are absolutely awful, which kind of helped Lamar just really get rolling with his legs. So if Lamar is able to do that, then I could see it happening. But if not, I think there's no shot. I wouldn't be a betting man of saying that the Ravens are going to win a playoff game. I don't hate the take, and I do believe that they could win out, but I also could see them just losing by 14 in the first round by whoever they play against.
Just imagine if that field hadn't been so slick. Lamar Jackson would have ran for 200 yards. There's no possible chance that the Browns were stopping him, and nobody else is for the rest of this regular season. And then when you look at the Steelers, they only beat the Ravens by 4 points in the first matchup, and that was just due to some Lamar Jackson turnovers. Don't get me wrong. And then the second matchup, they barely beat RG3 and Trace McSorley, right? So I think if this is the Lamar Jackson that we're going to get, he's going to build that positive momentum. They're going to take down the Steelers. I really think so. The Steelers can't run the football at all, and Lamar Jackson can outrush them by himself.
I do want to say that I do understand why you're on to that take because they are definitely two teams trending in completely different directions. You know, Baltimore could really go on a roll like you're alluding to. They could really go on a roll towards the end of the season here and have a lot of momentum heading into the playoffs, which is what you want. And we could look at the Steelers and say they could go the opposite way. And the way they're playing right now, they could lose out for all we know. You know, they can't get a running game going. They can't get that offense flowing at all. Big Ben is making crazy mistakes. Juju can't do anything except dance on the team's logo before the damn game and then, you know, not show up. I mean, no one has been showing up for the Pittsburgh Steelers. No one has stood out to me on the Pittsburgh Steelers that makes me go, wow, the last few weeks that we've seen. So I don't know what to expect from Pittsburgh moving forward. So I do understand why you're making that take. I just think we need to pump the brakes on Lamar a little bit until I see him, you know, be able to make those deep throws that I've always wanted to see him make.
I think we got to pump the brakes on the Steelers. Hey, too, guys, they're still 11-2. Like, I get that they haven't played great teams and they've lost back-to-back games, but that Buffalo team is really elite. There's no question that they shouldn't have lost against Washington. I get it, but it's so hard to win 12 in a row in this league. They're going to be fine because they have to just get that running game going. Obviously, really didn't have a lot of opportunities to get it going because they were down 90% of the game against Josh Allen and the Bills. But if they can get a lead, especially against a Ravens team, they're fine. I don't think there's a shot that the Steelers just have this great season and just let it all fall right away. Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches in the league. They're going to be fine. And I definitely feel way more comfortable still, even with the Ravens kind of having a coming out party last week, scoring 47. I got to see more. And even if we do see more, am I convinced? No, because they're playing the Jaguars, the Bengals, and the Giants. So it all really depends on what we see on the big stage. That Lamar Jackson clearly showed that he cannot prove he's worthy of that, because a 14-2 Ravens team didn't even win a playoff game and lost to a 9-7 Titans team. Never mind an 11-5 or a 10-6 Ravens team. So that's the reason why I'm not buying it. Lamar has showed us no signs that he goes over the hump this year, because this is arguably probably his worst year of his career.
Hey, now if it's the Titans that they run into, I might pull back on my take, because the Titans are an absolute machine with Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill. But the Steelers, it's not that just that they lost 2 weeks in a row. It's their play over the last 7-8 weeks has not been that good. And their flaws aren't small flaws. They aren't minor things that they can just fix in a hurry. It's going to take a whole cultural identity shift for that offensive line, and just something I'm not quite sure that they'll be able to do. I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they are susceptible. They're going to find themselves in close games because of their lack of ability to explode on the offensive end.
As much as we want to criticize the Steelers for the last 2 weeks, I think we're overlooking one thing. And Joe, I'm going to kind of allude to the take you want to make this week. And that is how damn good this Buffalo Bills team is and how real they are as a threat to the Kansas City Chiefs. I truly do believe that. I saw a lot from Josh Allen in this offense this week, but more importantly, I saw a lot from that defense this week too. That defense really stepped it up. The secondary, Tre'Davious White is the Tre'Davious White they've really been looking to step up this year and take control of that secondary. You remember that secondary was really struggling. Even in the games they were winning, like that Seattle game, they were getting, tore up a little bit. They were being criticized. It was one of the worst secondaries in the league, and they've really stepped up their play. And I just think Buffalo Bills are the AFC team that's peaking at the right time right now, that is clearly the biggest threat to the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC.
I would agree that they're the biggest threat to the Chiefs, but I really can't see the Chiefs losing at all. We've got to see another great example of them completely erasing a deficit in no time. When they played a quality Miami Dolphins team with a high-quality defense and a good coach, they absolutely blew out that 10-point lead. It was 33-10 before you could blink. So I just think that the Chiefs have an on and off switch like we haven't seen in the NFL, and no lead is safe. I think they're going to walk through the AFC playoffs pretty easily.
My thing is, I just believe the AFC is better this year. And if you think about it, both games the Chiefs had to come back and win. Actually, all three, even if you count the Super Bowl. They were losing all three games. And the only reason why I think it's more realistic this year is because their defense scares me. Their defense really scares me. A few weeks back, they made Derek Carr look like Steve Young, a righty Steve Young. Maybe a bad take there, but still, he just looked fantastic. And now Derek Carr against the Falcons and the Jets and all these crappy teams, he looks like Trent Dilfer. I mean, it's crazy to see, and that is what worries me. I do not like the secondary with the Chiefs, and the only thing is, last year, their defense made the plays they had to make, and Mahomes got back into the game. I'm just saying, if they keep doing this and falling behind, which they have done it in the past, and they did in Miami, and yes, they scored 30 unanswered, but they still only won by 6 at the end of the day. I'm not saying that the Chiefs are going to lose. Like, they should win the Super Bowl. They are the best team in the league. I just don't think it's as easy as we think, because there are better teams this year. The Bills, the Titans. I'd even throw the Colts in there. The Steelers, of course. And last year to this year, it's just stronger competition, and anything can happen. And it's really alarming to me. If I have to pick one thing that alarms me about the Chiefs, it is their defense.
Joe, that's not something that's too far off. Their defense has dug them in some holes in the past, but I think they have the best person to get them dug out of any hole, as Brian alluded to, and that's Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, DeMarcus Robinson. That offense is absolutely explosive, and they have ability to go on bursts and these runs that it's unprecedented. We've never seen it.
Without a doubt. And I think we're going to see a similar Chiefs defense that we saw last year to close out. They're going to be opportunistic. They have Chris Jones. They have Frank Clark. They have Tyrann Mathieu, and those are enough playmakers to make things happen, to swing games really fast, get that positive momentum, and then just absolutely run away with it. So, again, I agree with you that the Bills are a much improved team. The Titans look better than they were last year, but I think the Chiefs are even better than they were last year as well.
I could argue that as well. Definitely with the running back situation, definitely more improved this year with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and with Le'Veon Bell lingering around. So I get it. I just don't think, it's just going to be an easy road. Like, if they go to the Super Bowl, am I surprised? Absolutely not. I'm not. I mean, like I said, they should win the Super Bowl, yet nobody's done it in almost 15 years since the Patriots did it back-to-back when they beat the Panthers and the Eagles. It's not easy. NFL, it is probably one of the hardest things to do to win back-to-back Super Bowls. The Patriots have went to consecutive Super Bowls many times, but it's difficult to actually do it and win back-to-back. Mac Daddy, give us your hot take of the day.
Before I get into this, I just like to say that I'm going to say this, and then, this week, these guys could go out and play horrible, and I could look back and say to myself, what the hell was I thinking? Because that's just the kind of team that the Los Angeles Rams are. But my hot take is this. I think that Sean McVay has the recipe over there between that outstanding defense and the reigning NFC Offensive Player of the Week, Cam Akers. I think he has the right recipe over there to make another run to another Super Bowl. And that would be barring any costly mistakes from Jared Goff. The same consistent play that Jared Goff has had. But the other night against the Patriots, I saw a complete LA Rams team. And that is from the line and obviously Aaron Donald being the all-world tackle he is and getting to the Cam Newton, but also Michael Brock, guys like Michael Brocker stepping up and getting a couple sacks. Guys like Kenny Young and with the big pick six. Jalen Ramsey playing out of his mind this year. Cam Akers, 171 yards on 29 carries. He didn't find the end zone, but he didn't really need to. Their defense was absolutely dominant, and they have been dominant, and they're peaking at the right time, and Goff didn't turn the ball over. I know there's a lot of analytics guys out there that like to think that turnovers and touchdowns don't matter, but guess what? Goff didn't turn the ball over, and the Rams blew the Patriots out of the water, And you might point and say that the Patriots, it's just the Patriots. Cam Newton's having a terrible year. Of course they blew them out. But they played this way against Tampa Bay. They played this way against Seattle, and they've played this way against Arizona. All teams they are going to need to beat in order to advance in the NFC playoffs, and I think they could do that.
First, I want to say, a lot of times when we're looking at something in sports, it can be both, right? Cam Newton sucks, and the Rams are good. Second, you can rest easy this week, Nick, because the only question is if the Rams are going to win by 20, 30, or 40.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot to play in the Jets.
They're playing the Jets, the team that is trying to lose. So you can rest easy. The Rams are going to look good for at least one more week.
Hate to rate on your parade, but Jared Goff did throw an interception last week to Miles Bryant. So don't be complimenting him when he still threw an interception and he had 100. I don't care. Complete game of a complete team. They're not a complete team. They won the game because they dominated time and possession. The Patriots.
Okay, hold on, Joe.
And a complete team usually dominates time of possession, bud.
Yeah, because they ran the ball. They ran the ball all game. Jared Goff had to throw 25 times. That's fine, but they had to run 30-plus times. That's why they dominated the damn game. Running the football, playing great defense. That's why the Rams are good. Can we just stop mentioning Jared Goff? He's just another guy. He's just there. He's just enjoying the show. He's a VIP guest, overpaid, overrated.
Okay, here's a hot take for you. Jared Goff has been better than any New York quarterback over the last 20 years.
No way.
Name one season. Name one single season that a New York quarterback has had that's better than Jared Goff.
Are you serious?
You can't name one.
Eli Manning, Super Bowl season.
Look up the stats. Not very good. Now, a good playoff run, I'll give you that. But I don't think it's that crazy. If you give Jared Goff that defense, would they have to score 17 points to win the game? He could do that. I mean, he didn't do it
2002,
in the Super Bowl that he did get a chance
Chad
against the
Pennington.
Patriots.
Chad Pennington won the division in 2002. He threw 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Jared Goff has thrown at least double-digit interceptions the last 3 years. So I will take that. And the Jets obviously are a much weaker team than the Rams are. They weren't coached by a mastermind in Sean McVay. And I'm going to give almost every Eli Manning season in his vintage days over any season Jared Goff has posted. Come on, man. He's got 2 rings on his damn finger. What has Jared Goff done? What has
Jared
he done?
Goff has gotten closer to an MVP than Eli Manning ever has. He had 2
All right,
back-to-back
2015.
seasons.
2015, Eli Manning, 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions.
I'll take Jared Goff going back-to-back seasons with 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. My point is, that's not as crazy as it sounds. That's just not. Jared Goff, you may say, is not a top 10 quarterback, but he's good enough. They have a complete team. They just don't have a surefire Hall of Famer at quarterback. But who knows? Eli Manning might make it, so we might be talking in 10, 15 years as Jared Goff a Hall of Famer.
Oh, my God. Stop it.
But listen, the Rams proved the other night that they don't need Jared Goff to be spectacular. He doesn't need to be spectacular for this team to win. And that's what I mean by complete team. If Cam Akers runs the ball like he did the other night and that defense performs week in and week out to the level that they have been playing or better, they're a complete team that can make a run at another Super Bowl. They've done it before with Jared Goff as quarterback.
See, this is what I'm saying. I agree with you.
So
The 49ers did it last year with Jimmy G at quarterback, and he wasn't playing outstanding at all.
Jimmy G had to do his thing. Jimmy G, that's just all these guys are the same. Jimmy G,
Raheem
Jared
Mostert
Goff.
had to do his thing.
Yeah, I know.
Raheem
And,
Mostert had to do
and what happened in Jimmy G? He was criticized all year. Jimmy G was criticized. Why isn't Jared Goff criticized? Baker Mayfield is criticized. All these guys, Kirk Cousins is criticized. Why? Like, that's the only thing. Like, why are we acting like Jared Goff is a good quarterback? The Rams are a great team, okay? I'm going to be the first one to admit it. They're a great damn team. They have one of the—
That's all I wanted to hear you say.
But
That's what I've been getting at this whole time.
But I just don't see them I just don't see them getting to another Super Bowl, because we all knew that they went to the Super Bowl and Jared Goff won himself a Poopy Pants of the Week award in the Super Bowl. Shout out to Brian. That's just what I'm saying.
And this was all just like a coup. It was just an intervention to set you up to say that the Rams are a great team, and it has nothing to do with
Finally
Jared
did it,
Goff.
Brian. We finally did it. It took 14 weeks, but we got Joe to say it.
It took calling him a Hall of Famer and better than any quarterback New York has had in 20 years. That's all. That's all it took.
I still can't agree with that. I still can't.
Listen, I'm not saying that the Rams are going to make the Super Bowl and that it's an absolute certainty. I'm saying that we need to take a look at the fact that it is a possibility because they've done it before and this defense is hitting their stride. Just absolute. And now Cam Akers is healthy and hitting his stride at the right time. And we've seen teams make runs like this before. The Saints just got embarrassed by a rookie quarterback making his first career start. They are vulnerable. We've seen Green Bay be vulnerable and get spanked by Tampa Bay this year. Who's to say that the Rams can't have a game like that? It's any given Sunday. The Rams are certainly capable of shutting down any offense with somebody like Aaron Donald, in the front, and in the secondary, you got a guy like Jalen Ramsey who's having an incredible year. The money motivated that man this year.
Well, I love that hot take. And I love that conversation. And I'm going to get the wheels running here with the final hot take of the day. And Trevor Lawrence, in 2 seasons, 2022, will be a top 10 starting quarterback in this league, giving the Jets a shot at the playoffs if they get a good coach. This is a cold take if they go hire some bum who they probably will. But I'm just talking Trevor Lawrence. This ain't about the Jets. This is about Trevor Lawrence being the guy he's been praised since he was 18 years old, that he can turn around a bad franchise. People saying he should not go to the Jets. If he's that good, which I think he is, he could definitely turn around a bad organization. We've seen tons of teams have success with these type of quarterbacks, and this may be the best quarterback in 20 years. Do I have to remind you that the AFC East Indianapolis Colts were awful, terrible in the 90s, arguably as bad as the Jets? They get Peyton Manning. They're a dynasty. Trevor Lawrence is going to have that effect. He'll be a top 10 quarterback in 2022.
We need to absolutely pump the brakes about comparing Trevor Lawrence to Peyton Manning.
It's not a comparison. It's just saying the Colts were terrible. The Jets are terrible.
Okay, but no, maybe not you guys, but you guys know I'm on record in saying, first of all, my craziest hot take 6-7 months ago has obviously been changed. No, I do not believe Trevor Lawrence will have a worse career than Jamarcus Russell. But I do believe that Trevor Lawrence will have the career of, let's say, RG3.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep. I just think he's going to be another one of those mobile running quarterbacks that busts. I'm sorry. I've seen him exposed before, and I'll see it again.
He's not a running quarterback, though. He's 6'6". He just happens to be good at running. He just happens to be good at everything. His footwork is arguably compared to any good quarterback in the league right now. And usually when college quarterbacks come out of the NFL, their footwork is a little rusty, but Lawrence isn't. And this dude is just a pinpoint accurate passer and someone who doesn't turn over the ball. I mean, RG3, unless he tears his ACL 4 times, that's why RG3 was a bust.
I just need to see Trevor Lawrence at least play a snap in the NFL before I anoint him the second coming of Jesus Christ. Like, I'm just so tired of it. I hate when people do that to college prospects. College is not the NFL. It's not the NFL. Not playing against kids. You're playing against grown men, veterans, you know? It's just, I need to see it in NFL action, whether it's preseason or regular season or anything. I need to just see the speed of the game is different. Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you're the coach here, and like you obviously study the game maybe a lot more than I do because you coach it. But go ahead.
Trevor Lawrence has all the tools you could possibly want your quarterback to have. You hear all the right things about him. There are some red flags about his completion percentage against pressure, which you don't quite like to see. Now he doesn't face pressure that often at Clemson, but I believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to throw more touchdown passes than Danny Dimes has turned the ball over in his first 2 years, right? So that means over 50 touchdown passes for Trevor Lawrence, over 50 in his first 2 years. He's going to do that. He's going to be a good quarterback for the Jets. They're going to get that offensive line respectable. And again, he's got all the tools in the world if they get the right offensive-minded coach, which I do think is very important for them. Joe, I know you think differently, but I think if they get the right coach, Trevor Lawrence is going to be a really good quarterback. He's got all the tools in the world, and you combine that with the right
They're going to ruin him. Come on. It's the Jets. They're going to mess it up somehow. I hate to do that to you, Joe, but, like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and defend Daniel Jones even. I'm tired of defending Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is absolutely terrible. That still doesn't mean I can't be optimistic about the Giants. However, I'm getting digressed. I'm getting digressed here. I just don't think Trevor Lawrence coming out this year is smart, and I don't think that it's going to be a couple seasons, if at all, that we see the greatness that everybody wants to say he's going to achieve. I'm sorry.
I just don't see the argument, though, because he's either going to go to Jacksonville or whoever else. I mean, any of these bad teams, he's going to play for a bad team. And if people are saying that I'm not defending the Jets, they deserve all the hate and the disrespect, being laughed at, all they want. They suck. But in the last 15 years, they've only drafted 2 quarterbacks in the first round. So that doesn't make them a team that ruins quarterbacks because, oddly enough, they usually don't draft quarterbacks. They get journeyman quarterbacks. They've done it multiple times. They did it with Fitzpatrick, or even before that, they did it with Favre, or even before that, they did it with Testaverde. And then you rewind a few more years, and they did it with McCown after Fitzpatrick. They do it many times. They've only drafted 2 quarterbacks in the last 15 years, 3 in the last 20. And it was Chad Pennington, who had a very serviceable career but got injured. You can almost compare his career to RG3, but I still think he had a better, more successful career when he stayed healthy. And he made the playoffs with 2 teams. Dolphins.
The point I want to get at is that I am worried about an injury. No matter if he went to the Jets or the Jaguars or wherever that Trevor Lawrence goes, I am worried about an injury. Look what happened to Joe Burrow this year.
Right.
Joe Burrow may never be the same quarterback ever again, the way he messed up his knee.
But the Jets have a top 5 offensive tackle waiting. They don't have a Mekhi Becton. They don't. Mekhi Becton is going to be one of the best tackles in this damn league. That's the only good player they have on their team. So my thing is just like, why would he wait out just to go play for the Jaguars or possibly the Jets again? Like, there's a good chance if the Jets don't get Lawrence this year or he opts out, I mean, maybe they go draft Fields, but there's a good chance maybe they just suck again and get him next year. year?
I think Trevor Lawrence comes out this year. And you
I
know
think
what?
so.
Like, I don't want to root against the guy. I just want to play the other side of the coin and say that I don't see the Joe Montana-esque hype that this guy's getting already. If he comes out and performs like, let's say, Mahomes or even Lamar and wins an MVP, I'll shut my mouth and admit I was wrong.
All right, so let me play out a scenario here. Since the Jets do like to go with journeymen, what happens if, let's say, the Jets go with a Cam Newton, a Jameis Winston, a Ryan Fitzmagic, and your Giants made a play up to get Trevor Lawrence? Would you be happy, or would you rather stick with Daniel Jones for another year?
I just don't think, I mean, it's not realistic, but if they did it, would I be happy? I mean, of course, but that's because I think Trevor Lawrence is already better than Daniel Jones, but that's not saying much. What is that saying?
Daniel Jones almost won an NFC East division.
But if you're asking me, clearly, if I would take either RG3's 2 years or Trevor Lawrence right now over Daniel Jones on the Giants, the answer is unequivocally, absolutely effing yes. Daniel Jones has not been good. Like, what? I mean, I don't even understand why that would be a shock. He's been one of the worst quarterbacks in football.
Well, I was just wondering how far you were willing to go with Trevor Lawrence won't be good.
Oh, no, not that far. Not Daniel Jones far.
But at the end of the day, you just think he's overhyped. It's not like you necessarily think he's going to come in the league and suck.
Yes, at the end of the day, I think you need to watch the kid play an NFL snap before you say we say that he's going to be Joe Montana.
Right. No, I totally respect that. And I think it's like people are kind of split in the middle too. Like some people are like, this dude's overhyped. Some people even think that Justin Fields is comparable to him. I know Ryan Clark actually thinks that Fields is as good or could be better than Lawrence. But I think it's just if you base the NFL draft, you base it off of their natural abilities. And he's 6'6", and he can just do everything right. But it obviously is a long road. Lawrence, he doesn't solve everything in New York. He does solve a lot, but he doesn't solve everything. And to solve everything, that is what's going to make him a good quarterback with the Jets. And that's way easier said than done. So, but anyway, I believe that we should do this every single episode because that was an extremely hilarious.
This was unbelievable.
It was a whirlwind. And that is going to wrap it up again for another episode of Married to the Game. Please follow us on Instagram. We're going to be pumping out content, included this episode, some quotes, and I'm sure there's going to be many coming from this episode. And until next time, we're going to be heading into week 15. So long.